Welcome back. You're watching the special edition of Young Turks. We're in conversation with the founder of India's most valued fintech company, PhonePe. But what's the plan? You've talked about some of the verticals that you feel very confident about. But what's the plan as far as IPOing is concerned? Samir, 2023 was the expectation. The world has changed since you made that forecast. What can we now realistically expect?
So we'd said 5 years to be IPO ready in 2018. And I think if we were just looking at the payments core business, I think we are well positioned enough. Triple-digit operating growth, triple-digit revenue growth, very close to break even on the core biz. We would have thought about it. But you're right, lots changed. We had to spend a long year and a lot of investors had to actually pony up a lot of tax for us to domicile because we decided we want to list in India. So I think that need be done. And shout out to Walmart and all other investors. Almost 8,000 crores in tax, but I'm happy that we are now domiciled here. So you can sort of now definitely say PhonePe will IPO in India. That one part is done. Second, as you probably know, we've raised a bunch of money. We're in the middle of a fundraise, probably close by end of this month. So we're raising up to $1 billion, which I think will fund all of these new ambitions. We want to give it at least a couple of years for these businesses to get incubated to sort of give us a good sense of how big they can get, how much more money needs to be deployed. So at this point, I'd say 24, second half, 25, we'll start looking at the right time for an IPO. Obviously, the market environment also has to change a bit. I don't think it's a good time for tech businesses to go public. And with the money in the bank right now to sort of fund our aspirations, I think we are well placed. We can write this out.
Yeah, I guess you're in a lucky position or in a sweet spot, if I could call it that, at this point in time. You do have the luxury of time to take a call on when you would like to IPO because of the fundraise. But, Samir, you talked about moving back to India and domiciling here. And I know that what you said in terms of the Ghar Wapsi tax resonated with a lot of people. And the hope was that perhaps in this budget, the government would have brought in some cheer, but that was not to be. So, how do you see things like this impact the growth and the evolution of India's startup ecosystem, especially in the context of companies looking at the possibility of moving out of India? You decided to come back, but many are actually still considering moving out. What is the single biggest message that you would like to send out to policymakers today?
I think the policymakers are definitely aware, and we've done our part in laying the concerns of the startup ecosystem that encourage people to go out in the first case. I will say, I think the venture capitalists who are a very big stakeholder here in the decision of where to list startups and therefore where to domicile them are starting to sort of turn around. I think a lot of the VCs I talk to are heartened by the response to IPOs in the last couple of years in India. I think the market has depth now. So I think there's a meeting of the minds. The regulators and the government are also actively looking at ways to facilitate getting a bunch of folks back. I'm privy to some of the discussions, but I think good change is coming. If I take a 3 to 5 year view, I am very hopeful the best of Indian startups will find attractive valuations, a long retail market sort of queue of interest. I think people will come back. And I think new startups will have to move less and less to impress upon VCs to actually fund their companies. I think that dynamic is playing out. Entrepreneurs are starting to say, hey, we want to eventually list here, we want to build for India, we want to pay our taxes here. So I think the market's starting to come of age. This is India, so we do move slower to begin with, but we seem to catch up. We leapfrog. So I wouldn't be surprised if US and Singapore entities start listing in India in 5 years. We seem to always leapfrog at the end.
Well, let's hope we see that scenario playing out. As you point out, good change is coming, and we'll all be waiting to watch that. But you talked about IPOs, and you also talked about valuations, Samir. And I want to understand from you what we saw play out here in India with some of the new listings that we saw, including the likes of Paytm, and that dissonance between private market valuations and finally public market valuations. How have you read that story? What are the lessons that you take away from what we've seen happen there? I mean, today you're, valued more than double that of Paytm.
It's hard for me to comment on Paytm specifically, but I'll say this. One, I think a lot of these well-known brands, Paytm, Zomato, Nykaa, and others, I think they ended up going public in India when the VC market was at its absolute peak worldwide. And if you see the carnage in the tech industry and the fintech industry worldwide in the public markets, unfortunately for these brands, which are very well-known brands, household names, the hit in India is less than the worldwide hit on tech stocks, but it's significant nevertheless. So I think there's merit to the fact that some of this is a global meltdown problem. I think the second one is the market not liking combination of either governance standards or business models. But again, let's look at where their businesses were a year ago. Let's look at the health of their core businesses today. And I would contend that while they sort of broke the wall and went public first, they got hit by the market, they're turning around fast. And I'll give the shout out to a Paytm. I think the business looks fundamentally more healthy today than it did 4 quarters ago when we look at it from a distance. So maybe the markets help the players grow up fast fiscally as well. It's a good thing.
No, I agree with you. I think the focus on profitability is much needed. And in many ways, we've seen that course correction play out over the last few months. But Samir, I remember in an interview some time back, you had talked about your experience in the music industry, and you said it was hard to make money in the music industry. Which is harder, the music industry or the fintech business in India, from a money-making perspective?
Oh, definitely the music industry. I'll still say that. I think the financial services market is so large, Shane, that eventually I think all of us will make some money. It would be miraculous if all of India gets digitized and is using digital payments and neo-banking and insurtech and what have you, and none of us are making money. The big spoiler oftentimes is regulatory/government intervention, but I think we're starting to reach a new equilibrium. I genuinely do. I think you can see the valuations on the fintech side were large, frothy even, whereas all the profits are on the manufacturing side. And I think both are course correcting. I think it's going to be a rebalancing of the profits. There's going to be a rebalancing of investments. And I think we land in a good place. I'm always optimistic about this one. And I think fintechs will have their day in the next few years. It's not too far away. Again, I think...
Yeah, Samir, I just wanted to understand from you, and I know you're constrained to talk about what happened with Zest Money, but you've decided to not go through with that deal. But, in terms of plugging gaps that you believe you need to plug or looking at areas that you need to expand into, forget Zest Money for now because that's off the table. And, you can feel free to comment or in a manner that you can on that particular deal. But are you out there in the market scouting for others?
No. I think we're pens down. We made 4 successful acquisitions last year. Unfortunately, due to reasons I can't get into here, the Zest deal has in fact not gone through, but it's been more corp dev and corporate restructuring and fundraising activity than I'd like to deal with for a while. So at this point, we're launching Pincode. We're going to launch some other apps. We're going to build an app store. We're going to launch a host of services. So I'm really excited about going back on the drawing board with my designers and product managers and getting Rahul and the engineers together and building cool stuff. It's been a while. we haven't been able to spend time on the drawing board since COVID started. It's either been fundraising or domicile changes or acquisitions.
So acquisitions off the table for now, at least off the drawing board for now. So what is being prioritized on the drawing board, Samir? And in terms of the aspiration, you talked about neobanks and so on and so forth. I mean, is a bank an eventual aspiration for you?
I don't think I have a hairline left to do that in a lifetime, in this lifetime. I think I'm ambitious enough. We are ambitious enough as a company to try a whole bunch of stuff, but I think manufacturing financial products is not a forte. It's the same reason why PhonePe would not get into what we call the sort of conventional e-commerce businesses. I've spent many, many fruitful and happy years at Flipkart, but building a supply chain or building a lending operation are a lot of work. I think I like the intersection of consumer marketing, consumer product building and design personally. So launching new apps where someone's doing the heavy lifting, whether it's a seller platform or an insurance manufacturer, that's stuff we can do all day long. That's the stuff we enjoy. And I think that's the stuff we're good at, honestly. So, no, I like our banking system. We'll partner with them in everything. No,
but do you see a lot of consolidation within? Do you see a lot of consolidation within the space, given the regulatory changes,
Yes,
as well as the regulatory uncertainty and the macro uncertainty as well?
almost certainly. Said this at an industry at the in Kochi recently. There was the entire sort of payments industry. Then I was just saying that the margins are so razor thin, either by policy intent or by market forces, that you can't have 150 people in a payments industry in India. You can't have 100 people trying to sell insurance in India at the same time. The market's not deep enough right now. And as much as we like talking about long-term market penetration, the margins need to play out. So I think capital will consolidate around a few players. I mean, it's cyclical as well, right? So 2021, 2015, there's people getting funded every single day, sometimes twice a day. And then you have the winters. I think winters are good because you learn how to run lean, you shed unnecessary cost, you shed unnecessary ambition even. And I think that will force some consolidation as well. It's inevitable.
Well, Samir, we are going to have to take another very quick break, but don't go anywhere. We are back in a moment with more on Young Turks.